Hey everybody, this is your boy Garrett J. White, the founder of Wake Up Warrior, and also lead trainer of Big Money Stylist, CEO of DKW Styling, and here with the founder and creator of Natural Beaded Rose. She's even wearing a DKW, are you wearing a DKW styling shirt right now? Yeah. You are wearing a DKW styling shirt. I put on your BMS t-shirt for a training we did yesterday. Super fucking tight. It was amazing. So I haven't been on the show in a while. Why am I on the show right now?
We actually just got back from Cabo, and it's been me and Ani for a while, but I was like, hey, we're heading back from LAX. I'm like, hey, let's record a Big Money Stylist episode so we can get caught up. You haven't been on the show for a while. And Garrett always brings a little more spice to the business conversation. Honestly, when I brought him in as, should I say CEO, I kind of gave him I gave him ownership of my education company because I was like, hey, I need your help. And I knew doing that, I'm like, he's kind of crazy, but he gets results. So I had to I kind of had to submit to like knowing I married crazy, but that's like part of the reason I love him, and just knowing that I'm after results. And so, if you come take a class with us, Garrett and I, we both have our own spice. We're both very passionate people. Garrett just has a ton of energy. I do too, but we're a little different. We're a little different than most in the industry, I would say.
We're not like a little bit different. We're a lot different. You know what? You know the good thing? People look at me and they're like, hey, Garrett, you're not actually a nurse or a gynecologist and have not launched any hair extension lines.
PE teacher.
But I am a PE teacher. So, like, people say, how do you have an opinion about the hair industry? I said, well, number one, I sleep with a hairstylist who is now a Big Money stylist and a Big Money artist. And at the same time, I've been around the hair industry for 15, 16 years now. I was there when Danielle was going to Paul Mitchell School back in the day. I've been around the entire conversation, but I actually brought a new flavor to the game, which is I saw a problem beyond just the method of natural beaded rose. The problem was, even if an artist got good at Natural Beaded Rose, there was a bigger issue they were facing, which was a business issue.
Yeah, well, I honestly think that hairdressers kind of go into being a hairdresser to be an entrepreneur, but they don't get the training of an entrepreneur. They don't get any business training. Like when you go to hair school, you literally are only taught the fundamentals of hair, and you are not taught anything with business. And so a lot of artists go in wanting to kind of do their own thing, make their own schedule, and things like that, but they fuck it up because they just, we're kind of artists, and we don't have a lot of maybe the organization or whatever it is. And even for myself, like, I think from the very beginning I started my career, like, I can sell anything that I genuinely believe in, and I'm a problem solver by nature, and I've always had shitty hair. So the minute I dove into hair, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to do extensions. And it's funny because my older sister who does hair, she's 6 years older than me, and she started doing hair 6 years before I did. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to hair school. And she's like, cool. And then I'm like, I'm going to learn extensions. And they don't teach you in hair schools. It's always like an extra curriculum that you learn after. I think it should be a course taught in hair schools, to be honest with you. But anyways, so after hair school, I wanted to find a solution to my crappy hair. I was like, there's got to be some good extensions out there. You know, I know the extensions have a bad rap, but that kind of started my whole journey on just figuring out what would work with my hair. And then honestly, like I said, anything I believe in that works, I feel like I can sell to my clients. And I have always just had a lot of success in business off of those two principles of just loving what I do and, you know, sharing with other people and then giving them a great transformation. And then along the way, I had to figure out how to be a better businesswoman. So anyways, what's this topic? What's our topic today?
Our topic is simple. You brought it up. The topic is results.
Results.
Right? I was committed to a result. You're pregnant. No, there we go. I was committed to building BMS. We built it. And on that note,
you were talking about how like you saw a problem in the industry.
I know. I'm getting to that.
I was touching base on.
Yeah.
I think that I was just touching base on, like, I felt like the only thing that really drove me in the beginning was just like my passion and love for hair and problem solving. And I could sell anything, but then I got to the point where I was like, all right, well, I'm like running myself into the ground, and like I'm not doing my numbers here, and I'm working a shit ton and not making as much as I should, like any artist will do over time, and not really being detail oriented or business oriented. You know, we'll say things like, oh, I made 15 grand last month. And then you're like, really? And then it's more like 7. So, and then I'm like, well, how many hours did you work per week? And they're like, oh, like 60. So I'm like, oh, so you're not doing as well as you could. And we've all been there. And it's like you get addicted to the money, you get addicted to the transformation, you get addicted to the craft. Like there's something about like, and I'm sure this is how it goes in any industry. Like when you have a skill and you start doing it and you get really, really good on that skill, that it becomes addicting because you're good at it. Do you know what I mean? And then it almost becomes like a challenge, especially with hair. You get a new client, you're like, I can do anything. And then sometimes you're like, ooh, that was a jab at the ego. That didn't turn out as good as I thought. But then stylists will always turn it into a learning situation of like, okay, well, how can I learn and become better? So I would say the skill set alone it's getting good at something is addicting.
So this leads us to BMS Con 4.
Okay.
BMS Con 4. The only way into the game in 2019 with us is BMS Con 4.
I know. I have
BMS Con 4 is coming up. You guys start talking when you only have the microphone. You don't have the microphone. BMS Con 4, BMScon4.com is where the new tickets are going to be available for the upcoming convention event. There are 350 artists that are limited to this event. The event will be happening before that with 250 of our elite artists inside of our current mastermind for the 2 day or 3 days before convention. Then at convention, our best trainers will roll through and convention will open up for 3 days of training. Preempted by that with 6 months of home study course and monthly curriculum that you're going through to just prepare yourself to even come to and be at a high enough level inside of our event for 3 days.
Cool. Oh, sorry. I was going to say what's cool that we've changed this year is we honestly it's so hard to monitor 350 to 400 students and make sure they're getting amazing results. And again, Garrett and I are both very result driven. We're not looking to like give somebody a certification ticket and make a quick buck, because ultimately that doesn't serve you in the long term. So we're looking to sustain a business that actually matters and people get results and continue to get results. And so one of the things that we changed that I actually realized in my I launched a shadowing program last fall. It was $10,000 a student. They got to come and spend a couple of days in Laguna with me. But what we did was prerequisites and pre-training. So we've always done pre-training, but then I had them do prerequisites. I'm like, listen, they had like nightly homework that we would communicate back and forth with. And it was about 6 weeks before, not 6 months. So we had like nightly homework we would do. And then I would give them feedback, and then I would say, okay, you have to do 2 models start to finish before you come out with me. And that made the biggest difference, because what we had done in the past is we had virtual training, we had online videos, and we just kind of assumed with that large of a group that, people are paying for the training and that they would do the work and come prepared. And it's like half the room every time is not prepared. And you're like, well, did you watch the training videos? Well, yes. Did you actually try it? Well, yes. But I've had enough experience and reps teaching that I'm like, I know you're full of shit. It reflects bad on me. I'm not like trying to be your parent. I don't want to be your hair mom. I just want you to have results in business and get what you're paying for, instead of signing up for a class and being like, well, it was okay. Because that happens. And you want to like blame the educator, but really it's like your fault, and you have to figure out how to turn it so that the stylist gets more value. So anyways, this year we're doing prerequisites where you have to do so many doll heads before you come, submit photos, and then you also have to do, I think it's 2 models start to finish.
15 doll heads.
15 doll heads. And then you have to do 2 models start to finish, which honestly is not that big of a deal. And it's so funny because usually when people are like, they're so excited to get certified, they always have a few clients that are like, let me know when you learn these so we can try them on my hair. But what happens with stylists is they're the biggest fucking procrastinators ever. So they have good intentions to do the work, but they get there and they're working 60 hours a week that they didn't actually have time to do the work. So in order to get into our convention this year, we're requiring prerequisites where they have to submit photos. And if they don't submit their photos and do the prerequisites, they will not be invited into the class and they will not be issued a refund. And so that's how serious I take education. And again, I don't want to be your hair mom. I just want you to get what you paid for, and to get results in your business and in your life, and not just go home with another piece of paper that you can hang on your mirror and nothing happens.
So it's going to work out in the following way. You'll have 6 months of pre-work. So convention is in November in Orange County, California. It's 3 days. And prior to that, for 6 months, clear from, I believe, the month of May, June, July, August, September, October. Yep, May through October, the game starts. You'll actually be able to start the minute that you pick your tickets up, which will be first available here in the next week or two to the marketplace, limited to 350 students. You'll get the pre-work, you can get into it, but the actual group experience begins in May, and then from May clear through till October, we do work. We work virtually with you. We work inside the trench with you, and you're going to have to not just only do the work and submit it, but you're going to have to get it passed off by our trainers, which means this is not going to be a room at convention filled with a bunch of first pass rookies. And also, one of the things we have noticed is that there is a certain level of commitment that comes with not only prerequisites, but also with financial commitment. So the same thing that's changing is not just the game in the way we played it. Our old course was $4,000 for 3 days with 25 students. The convention price ticket is at $5,000. It's one pay of $4,000 or 5 payments of $1,000 to come, limited to 350 students. And we're already going to have likely half of those gone before we even allow the marketplace, you listening, to be able to access it, because it's going to be available to our current students and their direct referrals and or their current salon teams that they want to come into the game of certification and get into the mastermind. So there's no signs of us taking this bigger and further than what we're currently doing, because again, the commitment is elite artists who are dominating in the hair game. So the price is going to keep all the fakers and pretenders out. Second, all the pre-work is going to keep the lazy people out who are just too damn busy, who then want to not do the work, so that the culture that shows up at convention is fully vested and committed. And the truth is, many of you will come into convention who are listening to this, and you will have already gotten economic results and ROI on your money already paid back before you even walked in the room. The conversation at convention is not going to be beginner. The beginner stage of this is all going to be taking place in the 6 months build up to the event. The highest level BMS training that we've ever offered online, the highest MBR training we've ever offered online, because part of your prerequisites are also going to come down to business requirements, which means if you are not doing what you need to with a cell phone when it comes to video, audio, text, and image, which is what we call the daily four, well, guess what? Part of your prerequisites in order to be able to show up at convention is also going to be requiring you to do some stuff with your marketing and sales and to actually get some results and submit those for approval from our training teams at BMS before you're allowed to be brought into the room either.
It's so funny because in our industry, I know a lot of hairstylists, like our marketing is Instagram. You know, it's very photo oriented. I mean, you can do Facebook, but like our marketing page is kind of Instagram. And there's so many stylists I'll see that they will just post photos on Instagram, but really it's not necessarily about your number or your following on Instagram. It's about the quality of content that you put out and the consistency in which you do it. And in the beginning, you know, when you're producing content, even if it's a photo of your client, it's going to be medium. And the more you do it, the better it gets. Even at my salon, I make everybody take photos of every single client that comes through that door. Even if they are like, I don't know if I want to post it. I don't, you know, whatever it is. I'm like, I don't care. You need reps in taking photos, which is part of your marketing. And the other thing is you just have to build consistency. I know a lot of stylists who are like, oh, I don't really like getting on camera. I don't really like, you know, I feel dumb. Am I too young? Am I too old? Can I do Instagram? Or can I do YouTube? Can I do videos? Is this cool? Is this not? And you just have to get more comfortable being able to put content out there. And again, it doesn't necessarily matter, you know, how huge your following is. I think that people are often floored by the results that I have in my business based on the following. And I'm not saying I don't have a big following, but it's not massive. But I'm again very much after results, because ultimately that's what matters. So we're going to be sharing a ton of that with you guys, and just the importance of consistency and not consistently trying to get your number up on Instagram. Consistently getting results by getting comfortable by pushing your own marketing and your personal brand out there.
So I'll give you this interesting thing. We just got back a note from our 5 trainers who have been with us we now have a training team of 5, Coach Ani, Coach Candace, Coach Amanda, Coach Carlos, and Coach Michaela. And we got numbers back from all of them last night. Just give you an idea on this. Just hair orders. Okay, this is just how much they're spending just in hair every month. And by the way, 10 to 15 to 20,000 a month. That's in wholesale hair purchases in order to service the businesses that they're running in NBR. None of these artists were doing natural beaded rose. You know, Amanda's been with us for like 4.5 years. Ani's been with us for 3 years. Carlos has been with us for 3 years. Candace has been with us for 3 years. These are artists who have been working the system. But the crazier part is to look at the abundance that their lives have created. And it's not just our trainers. The reason we elevated those 4 to trainers is because they lived exactly what this message is, which is BMS is not just about getting another method under your belt. NBR is a lifestyle. NBR is a feeling. Natural beaded rose is not a function. There are a lot of functional trainings happening out there, and everybody under the sun is launching a new method of extension, and everybody's doing things, and we're excited for them. Good for them. The industry needs more stuff. I get it. So people are birthing that, and it's happening. But one of the things that we're committed to here is not just lining up a list of people who can then claim, well, I've been certified in natural beaded rose. The actual goal is to have artists whose lives change and accomplish 3 things. 1, make more money. 2, work less. 3, love their lives. 3 things: make more money, work less, love your life. Right? And the challenge for most artists, and maybe even you listening to this, is most artists in the industry right now are completely and utterly stuck in a rut. Right? Like a complete and utter rut. And the only difference between the rut and a grave are the dimensions. Where do you see this, Danielle, stuck in the rut?
I feel like stylists don't set boundaries. So you even have very successful stylists who are just work. And the problem that runs into is, like, you may be getting screwed over in your own business and not even know it because you're so fucking busy behind the chair grinding and looking for the wrong dollar. So keep that in mind too. If you are not like currently employed, you don't have to do all your numbers, your taxes, your bills and that, but you can't be so unplugged that you don't know what's going on at all. Or again, you could get taken advantage of, you could get screwed over in your business. Like, you have to have space and time so that you know what's going on. And again, I see a lot of hustlers making tons of money. They're like, I can't say no to the money. And I'm like, yeah, careful, because that might actually cost you money and it may burn you later. So be careful with the addiction to the craft and getting better at something, and the social media validation. And remember, what you went into the art of hair for was business. And we can love the art and the hair more the more business savvy we become, and create that balance and that lifestyle that we are looking for is ultimately how to win in this game.
So I've identified as a businessman here, in being involved with BMS and watching Danielle and being involved with the 1,000+ artists that we've had the opportunity to work with over the last couple of years. And the 250 artists are currently sitting in Mastermind, and the 350 artists, which may be you, who apply for one of those seats coming up here in November of 2019. But the pregame starts in May, and tickets are going to go on sale here soon. Again, this is not a cheap program. This is not a non-requirement program. You're not just going to spend $1,000 or $2,000, show up at a course, get a piece of paper that's worth less than a box of toilet paper from the grocery store that you could wipe your ass with. Like, there's going to be a financial commitment, and there's going to be a results commitment before you ever show up to the class, so that in that 3 days of experiential training with us, over 12 hours, over 3 days, 36 hours of hands-on training and deep dive into business, that we actually get some shit built and done before you go. You're going to ask better questions when you've done something than if you come in theory. If you've tried and done the work and you've had to go back to the drawing board with our coaches and trainers before you ever came to the event, this means that the level of conversation and the type of questions that are being asked and the type of work that we're doing hands-on at the event will blow doors off of anything you've ever experienced before, let alone the fact that most events you go to outside of a large premier event or a large convention, you're not going to get hands-on anyways. Hands-on training doesn't happen, and yet our teams inside of the way we built these events have seen the requirement and the necessity of it, but we've also seen that we need to be able to train at intermediate and advanced inside of our live event. We cannot continue to train at basic beginning. Now, let's run down amidst all these challenges and these opportunities for the event. There's really 7 problems we've watched for the last couple of years. I'm going to list them out really quickly, and Danielle and I are going to discuss a few of them that an artist may be facing like you, that makes a decision to come to BMS and starts to look into the possibility of being part of the tribe. Problem number 1 is that you're stuck in a rut. Problem number 2 is you have no niche. Problem number 3 is you're not as good as you think you are. Problem number 4 is you have limited skills in marketing and selling. Problem number 5 is you lack basic technology skills and commitment, so you have no automated systems for marketing and selling and fulfillment. Problem number 6 is you lack confidence in yourself to make the leap to the next level, even if you wanted to. And problem number 7 is you're isolated and working alone with limited to no guidance on how to change. Now, each one of these problems we're going to discuss for a moment and walk down the path of how and why they exist, but more importantly, how these problems, if you don't solve them, will never open up the following possibilities. Possibility number 1 is you're growing and expanding as a businesswoman, an artist, and life has purpose again. Possibility number 2 is you have a specific niche with elite clients who value in your service. Possibility 3, you have become the go-to elite artist in your community and are looked at as an expert and authority. Possibility 4, you're dominating with your marketing and advertising and collecting thousands of dollars a day in deposits and services. Possibility 5, you've learned to love and leverage technology, allowing you to build automation and systems that let you scale. Possibility 6, your confidence and certainty is genuine and true and is represented by both your bank account and your lifestyle. And possibility number 7, you've built an elite boutique team that believe in your vision and culture and are part of a global tribe of artists, coaches, and trainers to support you when you're down and celebrate you when you're up. Now, we're actually in our car and we're getting to the place where our other car is, and we're going to jump out. We'll finish this on our drive here and run through these a little bit with Danielle and I together and give you kind of an outline of maybe who this would be a fit for in coming to BMS Con 4 and who this would not be a fit for. So we're going to put the show on pause. You won't even know, but we'll be back here in just a minute to continue the conversation.
All right, we're back. We took a brief second to pick up our car. Now we're back to finish the show. Okay, so Garrett, catch me up where we're at.
We have already covered all the problems and possibilities, and now Danielle's going to walk through each one and talk to us a little bit more about it, starting with problem number 1. Again, remember, these are the reasons why coming to BMS Con, or why anyone who actually comes and participates with us, they're experiencing or suffering from any one of these problems or all of them at the same time. So let's talk about problem number 1, you're stuck in a rut. Danielle, what does this mean?
Well, stuck in a rut could be like various situations. Like you have stuck in a rut where either you need more leads or you don't have enough leads, and you're just kind of stuck in the same place thinking like you don't know what to do. And it's funny because you could even be stuck in a rut where you're overworking yourself, and this is something that's super common in our industry. And I see it in a ton of students. You know, they'll come take a class, and then 2 years later they come back and take another class, and they're just like, oh my God, I feel like I lost 2 years. And I'm like, well, did you change anything? Well, no, because you're stuck in a fucking rut. And the rut could just be the addiction to more is more. And that's not necessarily the outcome you're looking for. So problem number 2 is you have no niche. Now, it's so funny because even inside of our trainings, like we tell them like, hey, here's your numbers if you just take on MBR clients. Here's your numbers, like even if you're charging a shit ton, like here's your numbers if you're taking on like some color clients. And it's like you always win if you focus your numbers on color and extensions. If you start adding things, like, oh, well, my friend or a good client of mine, I cut her daughter's hair, and I'm like, okay, but you're not valuing your time. So you say you have a niche, but maybe you're not even using that niche, or maybe you don't have a niche at all. Like you literally are offering everything. You're the extension specialist. Like there's even a niche inside the extension world. Like I don't know why that drives me so crazy when somebody's like, I'm an extension specialist. I offer 14 different methods. I'm like, cool. So you're pretty shitty at 14 different methods and great at which one? And so it's important to, even inside the extension world, to have a niche and a system that you believe in, that you get really, really good at. Like I feel like every system in the beginning, if you don't have a lot of reps or any color technique or balayage technique, if you don't have the reps doing it, you're not going to be that good at it. And so you wouldn't blame a balayage brush, would you? No, you don't have the experience balayaging. And so the same thing goes with extensions and having a niche and getting reps in that specific type of extensions that you think will most benefit your clients. Number 3, you are not as good as you think you are. Ladies and gentlemen, this is hard to hear. Like literally when I started my brand, I was like, I would take photos and I would like look at my work and I'd be like, oh, I swear, but in person it looks good. And artists have this ego, and they just think like, but I know my client loved it. But if you can't and I shared like tons of podcasts on this, like if you can't realistically look at your work, even down to how it's styled or pieces of color or toner or whatever it is, or lighting that you're using to take the photos, if you can't look at it and become a better artist, then you're not as good as you think you are. I hate to break it to you, but like if you can take your work and hold it up to a magazine cover or hold it up to some of the top artists in the country or even in the world and think my work holds up to par, like oftentimes in the beginning, you're like, oh, well, when you put it side by side, I guess you're right. And this is actually something we do with our students. We'll hold up different feeds and we'll say, okay, can you look at this feed and this feed from a marketing perspective? Step outside of your own, take off your own goggles and look at it as a potential client who's never heard of you and doesn't, and like, would you buy this? So it's important to like be able to give yourself correct feedback and understand like there's always room to grow. I know that sounds harsh, like you're not as good as you think you are, but I remember I was like, oh man, yeah, I could improve. And that's why I've even gotten to the level in which I'm at, is just always having that desire to improve. So number 4, you have limited skills in marketing and selling. So the thing is like, again, and we touched base with this earlier on the podcast, where Instagram is huge and people will just, post photos, but Instagram is super saturated. So what's going to make you stand out? What's going to help you market better? And again, sure, a following can help, but in the beginning, it doesn't necessarily come down to a following. In the beginning, literally, when I started my brand, when I didn't have a ton of marketing knowledge, or social media, or at least Instagram wasn't that big and people hadn't built massive followings, I was like, well, I know a lot about hair. I know a lot about extensions. So I'm just going to get on and share my story and share skills and techniques and color and whatever I can think of on YouTube. And again, I didn't have even a big following on YouTube. And it was crazy because immediately after doing that, I started seeing results. People would be like, oh my God, I totally related to your video. My hair does that same thing. Like, I want to come to you. And so there's little things like that inside of developing the skills to market and selling, and just kind of getting comfortable doing that. And it's so different than just doing the art behind the chair. Number 5 is you lack the basic technology and skills. So you have no automated systems for marketing and selling. Okay, I'm so self-taught on this one. Like, I had no money when I started my brand. Like, I didn't know if I was going to stay married. I knew I wanted to start a following and build something, but I didn't even know how. I built out my own blog. I designed my own logos. I coded shit. I edited my own videos. Like, literally, I was like, I'm going to do everything. And I went through a lot of chaos, because I was self-taught and I wasn't an expert in every technology area and systems and all that. And I went through a lot of chaos. It taught me a ton for sure. But as my brand began to develop, I started utilizing different softwares, different tools that just made the system more automated. We have what we call a funnel now, which in the beginning, I didn't even understand. I was that stylist, like you see with 98% of our marketplace, text me for appointments. I'm like, cool. Like, I don't know. Like, for me, I have like an eyelash girl that I text for her appointments, but I honestly wouldn't expect to pay a ton to somebody like that. I don't even look at it as very professional. So you have to make sure if you're going to run a business, going back to keeping it professional and attracting quality versus quantity always wins, and it will really create what we talk about in BMS, just that lifestyle that you're looking for. Problem number 6, you lack the confidence in yourself to make the leap to the next level. Like, ladies, gentlemen, I get it. It's scary to put yourself out there. It's just scary to invest in your business. Like, we create so many stories inside our mind, and then we start gathering facts to hold those stories so true that it actually holds us prisoner in our own lives. And the only thing that you can base your success in is results. So if you are a fan to I don't know, color technique or whatever, you have to base your results in your life and what is true for you. And it's crazy, but I know we're all like, oh, we have to get uncomfortable. And it's like, you can't read a million self-help books if you're not actually applying it. So, I mean, it just kind of goes back to, you just have to do it and you'll find the confidence. Like, I don't know, you have to not be scared of falling on your face and fucking it up a few times. But through it, you become a stronger person. You could become more comfortable. You become more knowledgeable, and we can help guide you through that so you make less mistakes. Honestly, again, I was very self-taught. I didn't have, a huge mentor. I was just like, all right, let's do this. But it taught me so much that I can relate to every single student when they tell me, oh, well, I'm not you and I can't get on videos, or, oh, I don't have a blog, or, oh, I don't do this, or I don't do that. I'm like, I get it. I was where you were at. Like, literally, was the power in me kind of like building this all from scratch, is I can relate to so many different artists. I can relate to the rookies in the game. I can relate to, producers in the game. Like, I have a pretty broad spectrum. Okay, so is this our last problem? Problem number 7, you are isolated, working alone with limited guidance on how to change. Again, this just goes back to, like, I don't know, like if you are in, if you're not, I don't know how to answer this one. I'm going to let Garrett turn on this one.
So here's the deal. If you look at everything you just saw in those problems, they all stack on top of each other, right? If I'm in a rut, then everything that you listed after that is true. You don't have an itch. You're going to suck at marketing and sales. You're going to suck at technology. You're going to lack the confidence and courage to jump out. And you're going to end up being in a place where you're all alone, right? Isolated. So even if you have the courage to jump out of the rut, this is what I'm going to speak to about your industry, right? So I was new to your industry in the sense that I came in full hands on deck here 3-4 years ago. Like, I'm in financial services, I was in real estate, I'm in insurance, I'm in training, we run software companies, like we're involved in a lot of shit, right? So I'm around a lot of aggressive people, aggressive men. But I'm going to tell you right now, I've never been involved in an industry with individuals who are more hell-bent on fucking destroying each other than hairstylists are. Like, there's a reason your entire industry continues to struggle in scarcity and slavery. Because the moment one artist attempts to rise, everything becomes a game of entitlement, taking, theft, attack, persecute. When was the last time that you in your salon said, I'm going to go do something great, and everyone around you was like, awesome, we're so pumped for you? It doesn't happen, because slaves want other slaves to say slaves. And the only way that it makes sense for you to leap is if you can find the courage to do it and to leave the rut and the grave that you've created for yourself. But that's hard. That's hard because this leaves you alone. This is why we built BMS. I mean, in the beginning, Danielle was doing MBR training and we were done. That's it. I helped her build MBR training. We launched MBR training, but we saw a bigger problem. It was one thing to learn Natural Beaded Rosin Method. It's a whole nother thing to build a business that works, and specifically a business with a focus on natural beaded rose that ultimately fulfills on the 3 callings of BMS, which is work more, less, make more, love your life. So the possibility opens up, though, when you begin to see this. I'm going to have Danielle walk down through our possibilities, too, because each one of these problems has an opposite to it. And it's what our students are experiencing inside of BMS. And these possibilities, obviously there's a shitload of work in between, which is why events like BMS Con 4 are available, and why getting your ticket by going to BMS Con 4 right now and securing your application, which still does not guarantee that you're in. It does not guarantee that it's going to be an easy ride. You want an easy ride, go sign up for any one of the training courses that are available out there for all kinds of different methods and extensions. You can go in one day and get certified, have no requirements, no restrictions, no work needed. You just show up, dress pretty, put some nice shoes on, show up in a room, pay a couple $1,000s, get a shitty sandwich, and you'll get yourself a certificate you can wipe your ass with it on your way home, because that's what it's going to be worth. Right? Or you can step into a different world. And we're not for everybody. I get that. Listen, my name and who I am inside this game is attempted to be tacked by people in the industry. I get it. And I say attempted, because I don't play the game. I don't play the game the same way at all. Any stretch of the imagination. The game I play is results. That's it. I don't play the game of drama. I don't play the game of hoping, etc. There's a whole lot of things we could do to make money doing this. But the real commitment is about assuring that our students have a shot to get results. We can't guarantee you're going to get those results.
You can't empower people without results. So you hear a lot of like, oh, we're here to empower you. But if it doesn't do anything for your life, again, it goes back to you can read a million self-help books, but if your results don't change, you're not helping shit. So anyways, you can see that I'm very passionate. I get that Garrett has a little raw flavor, but he's gotten results in our industry. And I think between my passion and his desire to also help improve, like things have dramatically, like we get stylists with a lot of results.
Yeah, you got anything else?
No.
Come to conclusion.
I do want to share one little thing. I have Natural Beaded Rose hairline Isla is being released here. It'll actually be out, but by the time convention hits, And I'm super, super excited about this line because one of the biggest problems that I face personally, and I see in multiple different extension applications, is if the hair doesn't match, it's such a dead giveaway that it's extensions. And a lot of times in the old way of doing extensions, you'd go to one person for your extensions and one person for your color, and you're just kind of like swatching and hoping you get the best match. And ultimately it's like buying clip-ins. Like, they never look great, especially if you have shorter layers or thinner hair. Like, it's a dead giveaway, it's extensions. And so color is such a big thing for me, and that's why I've always loved enjoying doing color and creating that amazing blend. So the hair, I kind of created it off of all the problems I had. So everything will have a little bit of a root. Everything will be pre-rooted, pre-toned. Most hair, again, regardless of the installation process you use, comes with a silicone, and it looks too shiny in the beginning, honestly. Like, I like any kind of hair I've ever worked with a few washes in, because that silicone wears off and it looks a little bit more natural. So my hairline has a little bit less silicone on it, and it's still amazing quality, and it has more grams per weft. So anyways, I'm super excited about that. That's only going to be available to NBR artists, just to keep the integrity and the quality of the brand. And again, like, hair is like one of those things that it sucks. Like, when you can't order the color you need or the length you need, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. Like, you're trying different color formulas to hope it matches, and oftentimes, like, again, you're not setting yourself up for success. So if we have better foundational colors, it's like win-win across the board. So we're going to wrap this show up today. I'm super excited about convention, and just some of the changes that we've made over the years are always in attempt to just really better the system and make sure that people are getting better results. And I just know that those that are kind of hustling and doing what we teach them and applying it, they are getting results. And so that's super cool to see. Whereas in the beginning, when I just had like a one-time certification class, come in, watch me do a demo, maybe do a tiny bit of hands-on, like, nobody was having results. Like, it may be something they put up on their Instagram handle for like a day. Hey, I'm offering MBR. And then, a couple months in, I'd be like, why aren't they offering it anymore? Because it wasn't working, because they weren't putting in the reps, but I wasn't educating as well as I could be. So again, every change we make is always in efforts to better assist the student and go after a different clientele, even inside of our industry. Stylists that are looking for a change, that do take themselves serious. And also, if you look at the MBR page, like, the work is beautiful. Like, the results are amazing, and that's really what we're going for our clients as well, is just amazing results.
So that brings this show to a close. We'll talk about the possibilities another time. We look forward to having you guys put your applications in for BMS Con 4. Again, you can check that out at bmscon4.com, where you'll see a new movie, as well as all the details about the upcoming event. Again, this is not an event. This is a 6-month journey that ends with a 3-day immersion experience with us here in Orange County, California. For those who come there, that is the only gateway into the Mastermind in 2020. We look forward to having you part of that experience. Hope you guys have a great week. And I will probably not be on the show next week. I may be on the show next week. I don't know. I randomly get pulled in here or there. And either way, hope you guys have a great time. We look forward to seeing you guys inside the trenches of the BMS movement and BMS University, and moving forward with us into BMS Con 4. Again, head to bmscon4.com. Thanks so much for being here, and we'll talk to you guys next week.